Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the escalating crisis around what might be the most anticipated game of all time, Grand Theft Auto 6. What started as incredible hype has just spiraled into a story of delays, huge financial losses, and a team in total turmoil.
And this isn't just about a game being a little late. We are looking at a full-blown catastrophe. We're talking massive financial hits, shattered deadlines, and a development team that's been torn apart. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how everything spiraled so badly out of control. All right, let's get right into it, and we have to start with the timeline. This is where the frustration for millions of fans really begins to boil over, and honestly, it sets the stage for all the chaos that follows. I mean, just look at this. The sheer scale of the wait is staggering. It has been over a decade since GTA 5 came out. To put that into perspective for you, the gap between GTA 4 and 5, that was only 5 years. This 12-year wait, now with 2 painful delays tacked on, it's pretty much unheard of for a franchise this massive. So you have to ask, right? If people inside knew this date was impossible, why on earth did they announce it? Well, according to internal reports, the answer is pretty simple. There was immense pressure from shareholders on Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two Interactive. They had to show the market progress was being made. But as we're about to see, that decision backfired spectacularly. That pressure didn't just lead to disappointment, it actually triggered a financial meltdown for the company. The numbers we're about to see are frankly hard to believe. Okay, just let this one sink in for a second. According to insiders, every single month that GTA 6 is delayed costs the company a cool $10 million. That's over $300,000 a day, just gone. And believe it or not, that's before we even get to the really big picture. Yeah, that monthly cost, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The company recently posted a record-shattering net loss of over $3.7 billion in one quarter. This is a historic loss, and it's driven almost entirely by the fallout from the game's delay. It forced the company to make some really drastic moves. And this chart just lays out the damage perfectly. The stock price took a big hit, of course, but look at that line item, goodwill impairment. That's over $3.5 billion. In simple terms, that's the company having to publicly admit that the value of its own assets isn't what they thought it was, all because they can no longer hit the financial targets they promised everyone. So what's the result of all this? A complete and total crisis of trust. And we're not just talking about angry gamers anymore. We're talking about furious investors, a potential legal nightmare, and a shadow that's now cast over the credibility of the entire AAA gaming industry. Now let's pivot to the human cost of this crisis, because you could argue it's even more damaging than the money. Behind all these billions of dollars is a team of real people, and their story is absolutely critical to understanding what's going on here. This was a huge turning point. Dozens of employees were fired, just like that. Now, the company gave an official reason, but the story that started leaking out from behind the scenes, well, it paints a much, much darker picture. So, on the record, the company cited gross misconduct, very serious stuff. But according to internal reports and British trade unions, this was a textbook case of what's known as union busting. The employees were fired, they allege, simply for talking privately about possibly organizing. And for anyone who's not familiar with that term, union busting is pretty much what it sounds like. It's any action management takes specifically to stop workers from getting together to bargain for things like better rights, better pay, or better working conditions. And this right here is the crucial point. This wasn't just some ethical nightmare, it immediately became a massive operational problem. I mean, think about it. How do you finish the most complex video game in history when your team's morale has completely and utterly collapsed? The consequences here are just severe. You lose dozens of experienced people, so all that knowledge just walks out the door. But just as bad, you create a culture of fear among the people who are left. Trust is shattered. And of course, all of this just puts even more pressure on those already impossible deadlines. So the problems inside Rockstar are obviously huge. But now they've gotten so big that they're creating this powerful ripple effect, a shockwave that is literally being felt across the entire gaming world. People are calling this game a huge meteor, and it's not really an exaggeration. It's so massive, so anticipated, that other major game publishers are actively changing their own multi-million-dollar plans just to get out of its way. This level of impact is it's truly unprecedented. Studios are moving multi-million-dollar games by weeks, even months, just to avoid what they're calling the GTA 6 impact zone. We could seriously be looking at one of the quietest holiday gaming seasons in years, all because everyone is terrified of competing with this one game. So this all brings us to the final, crucial question. When a game's development is this troubled, what does history tell us? How does a saga like this usually end? Well, history shows us this can really go one of two ways. On one hand, you get legendary failures, total train wrecks like Cyberpunk 2077 or Duke Nukem Forever. But on the other hand, you can get a genre-defining masterpiece, like Rockstar's very own Red Dead Redemption 2, which also had two major delays. So what separates the masterpiece from the disaster? It really seems to boil down to one critical factor: team morale. Red Dead Redemption 2, for all its issues, was reportedly built by a united, motivated team that was focused on a single vision. GTA 6, in stark contrast, is being built by a team that insiders describe as broken, fearful, and completely distrustful of management. And that is a major, major red flag. So the takeaways here are pretty clear. 1. When you combine massive delays with intense pressure, you have a recipe for disaster. 2. Firing your experienced people isn't just an ethics problem, it's a huge operational risk. And 3. A single game can get so big that it literally forces the entire rest of the industry to bend around it. And that leaves us with the one question that everybody is asking. Will Rockstar somehow pull another masterpiece out of the fire? Or are we all just watching a slow-motion catastrophe unfold? The answer is going to define not just the fate of this game, but it could very well define the next era of blockbuster games.